Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz has urged Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to clearly condemn the Hamas attacks on Israel, calling his silence so far shameful. In a speech to the German parliament, Scholz also pledged his support for Israel, saying Germany's only place right now is at Israel's side. He said Israel must have the capacity to defend itself, adding that the terrorist group Hamas offers only poverty and misery for the Palestinian people in Gaza. Scholz also said that Germany will issue a formal ban on activity by or in support of Hamas.
We condemn the violence of the terrorists. And we say very clearly, Israel has the right under international law to defend its citizens against such acts of barbarism. At the moment, there is only one place for Germany, the place side by side with Israel. This is what we mean when we say the security of Israel is Germany's raison d'être.
And I'm now joined by our chief political editor, Michele Kufner, who is at the German parliament today. Michele, overall, I mean, we just listened to one aspect or one soundbite there from the Chancellor, but overall, that was a very strongly worded speech from the German Chancellor, some very strong rhetoric coming out of him today here in Berlin.
Yes, and it was Olaf Scholz spelling out what Germany means when it says it will guarantee for Israel's security. This goes back to something former Chancellor Angela Merkel said before the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, in 2008, when she said that Israel's security was reason of state in Germany. Now, in this hour of need, Olaf Scholz made clear that that means backing Israel with whatever it needs. He said he spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu and pledged that he would send whatever Israel requests. We've learned from the German defense minister that that means ammunition for warships at this moment in time. But also he announced a flurry of diplomatic activity, high-level talks he's due to hold today, beginning with the Emir of Qatar, who was scheduled to come to Berlin even before this attack took place, with Qatar being seen as a major financier of Hamas, but also a clampdown on pro-Hamas demonstrations here in Germany.
Yeah, Michele, there was also a word there directed at the Palestinian authorities. Let's have a listen to that. Stand by and we'll pick up after this next soundbite from the German Chancellor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the attack of Hamas on Israel also has repercussions on our cooperation with Palestine. Where is the clear condemnation of terrorist violence by the President Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority? I say your silence is a disgrace. And all our development cooperation with Palestinians will be re-examined. And we will see how our projects can support peace in the region and support the security of Israel.
So, Michele, we're hearing there from the German Chancellor that aid to the Palestinians is now under review. Tell us more.
Yes, this is something that Germany said very early on, that it will review any assistance given to Palestinians. We also saw him discuss this with French President Emmanuel Macron earlier in the week when they had a bilateral cabinet meeting in the German city of Hamburg. But both also said that that would not mean ending all humanitarian assistance. There is a huge distinction between development assistance and humanitarian assistance, with both sides both saying they are aligned with Israel, stand side by side with Israel, and Israel will have the final say on which aid goes in and which doesn't. It does so in concrete terms anyway, because it controls access to the Gaza Strip on the ground. But this is something that is also being debated across Europe, what that means in terms of humanitarian assistance, but also other assistance towards any Palestinian cause, now that the terrorist wing Hamas launched this vicious attack, this inhumane attack on Israel.
Michele, we also heard the German Chancellor talk about mediation efforts today. He referenced countries, Egypt, Turkey and Qatar. Let's have a listen to what he had to say on that quickly.
I have very close contacts with Mr. al-Sisi, the Egyptian head of state. And he also has a chance of communication with Gaza. I'm going to talk to the Turkish president, Mr. Erdogan. I am also going to see representatives of Qatar. They are very important as mediators, and they use this capacity. All three of us can play an important role in de-escalating the situation. And the critics of such contacts, and those who say we shouldn't be speaking to the actors, let me just tell them, it would be absolutely irresponsible in that situation not to use all the channels that we can use. We do that in very close coordination with Israel, and we do it for those people who were abducted by Hamas.
And on the note of those people who were abducted by Hamas, the German Chancellor is due to meet with the Emir of Qatar to negotiate the release of hostages in Gaza. Michele, you're still with us. What more do we know about these mediation efforts in that regard?
Well, these were scheduled as talks which surely were about investment and energy and have now become diplomatically absolutely key. In terms of what Olaf Scholz said there, you can also sense the overarching fear that this could become a much bigger conflict. He also warned Hezbollah not to get involved. And the biggest concern is, of course, that Iran is involved in this and that there could be a full-scale escalation of this involving Iran. That's when it gets very dangerous, not just for the region, but for the entire world. So diplomatic activities at all levels, the Americans, the Germans, the Europeans, everyone.
Michele, Israel has requested military help as well. Do we know if Germany is going to be sending weapons?
Well, we've heard from the German defense minister arriving at a NATO meeting where he said that ammunition would be supplied to the Israelis for Israeli warships. There's also reports that those drones that Germany has leased from Israel, that some of those would be basically left with Israel for their own defense purposes. And we have the pledge from the German Chancellor today that whatever Benjamin Netanyahu requests would also be delivered. So that is not much of an expectation here in terms of defense capabilities. I've spoken to high-level politicians from other parties who do not expect there to be a very long list, but Germany mapping it out very clearly that solidarity, as the Chancellor put it, won't end with words.
All right, that is DW's chief political editor, Michele Kufner, here in Berlin, of course, breaking down for us that speech by the German Chancellor in the Bundestag today. As ever, Michele, we appreciate that. Thank you.